What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to what pretty much is an impromptu late night agenda. I had no intention of coming back live tonight, but I'm also not as tired as I was expecting to be. So when I have a bit of energy, I thought, why not come back on? And let's have a chat and see how we're all feeling, of course, after the FA Cup victory today. We'll discuss our opponents in the fifth round. We'll look ahead to the game against Chelsea on Wednesday. Of course, we'll talk about the managerial situation. We're going to have a little look at the situation with regards to the sporting director. And also the deluded fan bases of certain clubs that think that Jurgen Klopp's just going to run straight there. We'll talk about that as well. And anything else that you guys want to go through. Look, that was the response I hoped for today from the players, the fans, the manager. Everything went to plan. An exciting 5-2 game. Some good academy prospects coming through as well. Bradley and McConnell looked absolutely top-notch. Yeah, if it hadn't been for that little announcement on Friday, this would have been a pretty all-around awesome week. But unfortunately, the long goodbye starts now, doesn't it? Ryan said good morning. Is it morning, Ryan? Maybe in your part of the world, perhaps. Maybe that's what I'm getting wrong here. I've got a bit of information from that article I spoke to you guys about from The Athletic earlier on as well, what I'll be reading out with regards to contract situation with Klopp. And when he signed it, we'll look at the FA Cup draw. We'll talk about the links coming from Germany already to Julian Nagelsmann at Liverpool, which I hope don't come to fruition because, you know, I'm single-minded right now, folks. It's one man and one man only that'll do the job for me, and that's Mr. Xabi Alonso, and it looks like Cara's on board with it and many others. So we'll fly through it all tonight and have a bit of fun. And look, also, we still need to get this off our chest, don't we? We still need to talk about the Klopp situation and how sad we all are. Hi mate, West Brom fan. Hope that Liverpool recover after Klopp. Have a soft spot for them. Thank you, George. Yeah, it's a tough one, mate. It is a tough one for us Liverpool fans to come to terms with. I'm still in shock, George, mate. I won't lie to you. I'm still in shock. Where's Pep Linders going? I don't know. Genuinely don't know. All of the backroom staff, coach-wise, actually, do you know what? I say that. I don't know what's going on with Achterberg, Taffarel. I don't know there. But Linders, Kravitz, they're all leaving. George Schmadtke is leaving his role as sporting director, I guess, and that was never going to be a long-term thing. But do you know what concerns me about it, right, is there's been a lot of talk that the sporting director is the first one to get filled, the first position to get filled, and I do totally understand where the club are on that one, but I hope it's not the sporting director to come in with a view to the sporting director potentially picking the manager. I wouldn't like that to be the situation. I'd like to think that since Jurgen told the club of his intentions in November, that there was at least a short list of names for the managerial position. And of course, then we have to talk about the sporting director position. Is Southgate not an option? No, mate. No, he very much is not an option. Nor should he ever be considered an option. Gareth Southgate, imagine him with this group of Liverpool players. I mean, I'd fully be expecting us to try and sign Maguire or something, knowing him. But no, absolutely not going to be anything to do with Gareth Southgate if the club have any sense about them. So, yeah. And he's still in a job with England, so the good news is there is we'd have to agree something with the FA, and we won't be doing that. But God almighty, that's one of the worst potential suggestions I think I've heard yet. Zidane is another ridiculous one that I don't understand how people think that there's any possibility that would work on any level, apart from the fact that the man doesn't speak any English. We all know it's going to be Big Sam. Oh, Kerry, stop. Can you imagine? You just think to yourself, Kerry, the news can't get any worse, right? And then imagine that came next. So I had to listen to the potential of Sam Allardyce becoming the Republic of Ireland manager a few weeks ago. It was briefly spoken about, and I was sad about that, let alone him getting near my beloved Liverpool. Hope you're all good. I'm good, thank you, T. Hey Craig, Xabi Alonso or De Zerbi? So, on that, right, Daniel, and thank you for your super chat, bud. First one of the night, we love that. I talked myself into and out of Roberto De Zerbi very quickly. It took me less than 12 hours to back away from De Zerbi. Not because I don't think the man's a good manager. I just don't know if he has... Does he have the pulling power? Does he have the gravitas? I don't know. And I also think there are a couple of other jobs that he's better suited for. I think his name should be and probably will be in the mix for the Barcelona job. I think his name will eventually be in the mix for the Manchester City job if Guardiola departs in the next couple of years. But look, he's a good coach. He is a good coach. It doesn't feel like a good connection with De Zerbi. But his CV and his coaching qualities are certainly, good enough. He's been around long enough. He's got a good style of play, albeit sometimes a little bit robotic, I feel. But I think Alonso's a better fit. But then again, I'm a sentimental old fool with regards to looking back with hindsight on players. I don't have sentimentality on a lot of stuff, but looking back on players that I've admired, sometimes a little bit. De Zerbi was selling himself to Liverpool during the presser, apparently, said Paul Welch. Look, I wouldn't be angry if it was De Zerbi. I'd get behind him like anybody else. But it just feels like... You remember when I was trying to sell you the Mbappe vision? I was talking about sliding door moments in life, whether that's Salah to make way for Mbappe or whatever. In this scenario, it feels like Alonso is the guy, but he's in a job, and he's in a job a relatively short period of time. So I don't know what the situation will be about approaching Bayer Leverkusen, or I don't know what the owner's thoughts are on the next manager. But I know my thoughts are very much on Alonso and nobody else at this point. It doesn't really matter who comes in though, does it? Let's be honest. Whoever it is, it's still going to feel like it's going to take a while to get used to not seeing Jurgen Klopp being spoken about, or, I was only saying to Connor earlier on, one of the strangest things that have happened since Jurgen announced his departure is I sit here and usually do streams and we talk about transfer targets and stuff. I don't even feel like I know how to talk about a transfer target now, because I don't know what's being targeted. I don't know who's the manager. I don't know what positions a new manager will look at and think needs to be strengthened. So everything is kind of up in the air at the minute. You would imagine we still have to look for a centre-back. Matip and Thiago's contracts are up at the end. The reason I want this appointment quick is because we also have to get to negotiate new deals with Trent, Verge and Mo. And I'd love to get your take on Mohamed Salah actually right now. What you think Mo is thinking about this situation, because if the players genuinely didn't know until Friday morning about 10:30, I would imagine that a few of them are probably feeling a little bit, I don't know if disheartened is the word, but, there's a good bond there between the players and the manager. A genuine admiration for each other, and respect. So I wonder how they're feeling really deep down. I know Verge came out and, did what the captain's supposed to do. He fronted up to the camera in his interview, spoke about the disappointment, but also wanting to make sure Klopp goes out with, a bang at the end of the season and making sure that we're as focused as we are for the remainder of the campaign. But, I don't know if that can make this better. I really don't know if that can make me feel better at the minute. Fabrizio said the first step for Liverpool. Can we stop with the Fabrizio shite? Honestly, it does my head in sometimes. Fabrizio is about 18 days behind everybody else, for fuck's sake. Everybody knows sporting director is the first one because we were told the sporting director was going to be the first one. So what Fabrizio Romano says about Liverpool's managerial job, I honestly don't give a shite. Because I'm going to say, I don't like the lad. I don't like Romano. I don't know what the fuck his existence is for. So I don't care what he has to say, in all honesty. No dig at you, my man. Sorry, I just don't give a shite what Fabrizio Romano has to say. I look at Fabrizio as a rat. And I don't mean as in... from the animal sense. I'm not calling him a weasel. I mean, all he does is tell tales, All he does is spill news that destabilise his football team. I don't know what's the point of him. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You know, other journalists, you'll see written pieces, tactical breakdowns, explanations. I just don't get Romano. For me, he's just like a problem to the football game. And I really lost any semblance of respect I had for him when he sat down with your man from the Super League. When he sat down with the CEO of the Super League on Kick for a conversation, I just thought, that's just basically spitting in the face of the establishment and spitting in the face of football as it is. For what? I don't like him. Sorry, I just don't. I don't like him. What about Simeone from Atletico? Said Brad Larkin. You know, on Simeone, there are some aspects of Diego Simeone that you think we probably could like, right? You know, he's passionate. He will certainly get players playing, but he'd have to change his brand of football. Now, weirdly, right, as much as I'm going to say I don't want audio again, what's up with the audio? Echo. I don't know what's going up with the audio today, lads. These things throw me off course completely when they happen. Right, I've changed microphone settings, so I hope that's okay. I apologise if it's echoey still or whatever, but there's not much else I can do on it. I've changed the microphone settings, so apologies. Sorry, to get back to what I was saying. Weirdly, I feel like Klopp could end up at Atleti in the future at some point. You know, we often talk about, again, and sorry for the audio issue, folks. Earlier on when you were telling me it was poor audio, I switched to this one. But then I switched it back later on, thinking that the problem would have sorted itself out. So I will relook at it. And apologies for anyone that was coming in late and hearing bad audio. In your position, I'd be annoyed. So sorry about that. I could see Klopp ending up at Atleti at some point in the future, but I don't know if I could see Cholo Simeone coming into Liverpool. I feel he's more of a Manchester United type manager than he would be a Liverpool type manager. The bookies, looking at Paddy Power in particular, they definitely feel like Klopp's getting the Germany job next. Like, the odds for him to go and take over the German national team job is not worth putting money on. It's that they're that sure that'll be the next move. And I could live with that. Even if it was, let's say, the German national team job came up after the Euros. So the Euros is taking place, obviously, in Germany. So if Nagelsmann gets the boot after that, I wouldn't even be that angry if they appointed Klopp in, like, you know, October, November time. Because I could understand him breaking his year sabbatical for the German national team job. I could truly understand that. And I could also come to terms with the fact that, yeah, it's still a job, but it's a less hectic job than day-to-day club management. I can't lie about what I'm about to say next because I mean it sincerely. If Jurgen takes up any other club job within a year, it's going to feel like a kick in the teeth. I can't hide that. It will. But I think I'll be all right with the German job. Not that Klopp gives a damn what I think, but, you know, I've got to be honest. If he says he needs a year and he doesn't take a year and goes into a club job, it's going to feel like a little bit disappointing. As disappointed as you can be in a great man like Jurgen. Fabrizio also helps players force moves out of clubs, like with João Felix and Atletico. It's very disrespectful. How do I say it? I don't think Fabrizio's a bad person. I don't know anything about him on a personal level, but I don't understand. I see him more as a problem for football industry than a solution, because he's not a journalist in the sense of the word we think of journalists. You know, there's no written tactical pieces or covering a certain club, or he's just like basically a telltale. That's the way I think about it. He's a tattler, and whoever's giving him the information, that's the people that if I'm a football club, I'd be wanting to root out, because whoever's telling tales and whoever's giving out the information the way they do, needs to be fired, in my opinion. Like, I don't like stuff like that coming out all the time. Yeah, just my take, my honest take on it. Right, let's have a look at the FA Cup draw really quickly, because we barely got to touch on this at half time. So this is what the FA Cup 5th round draw looks like in its entirety. Blackburn or Wrexham are going to take on Newcastle. Chelsea or Aston Villa, who have a replay, of course, coming up at Villa Park. They're going to take on Leeds or Plymouth. Again, both have a replay. Bournemouth versus Leicester. Liverpool are going to take on the winner of Watford and Southampton, who have a replay coming up at St Mary's. Bristol City or Nottingham Forest are going to take on Manchester United. Wolves against Brighton. Then Sheffield Wednesday or Coventry versus Maidstone. And Luton Town versus Manchester City rounds off the 5th round of the FA Cup. I seen you missed the super chat. Did I? Sorry, mate. Let me scroll up. Nevlin said, Alonso has managed only 64 games. De Zerbi's been a manager since 2016. That experience is critical in my opinion. Alonso has a Brendan Rodgers feel I don't like. So, I can't push back against that, mate. I can't. Anybody who is concerned about Alonso's lack of managerial experience, it's a valid concern. I don't feel as concerned by it because of who he is and what he's done in the game. But I fully appreciate your point, and I'm not going to undermine anyone that has that concern, because it's a valid concern. Hello, Craig. What about Simeone from Atletico? We've done that one, and Brad Larkin. And thank you for alerting me, by the way, to missing that super chat. I hate when I miss it, so do let me know if I ever do miss them. Team Shark Meg said, the players we have are Klopp-type footballers, 100% energy. Alonso's more pep-like. Do you feel Nagelsmann is more suited to our current crop? I'm unsure on Nagelsmann because of the run of jobs coming up to the German national team job. I'm unsure if he has it. He's certainly a highly respected coach. He's been looked at by top clubs like Real Madrid as well. Again, I think it would be an understandable appointment, and certainly somebody who should be under consideration. And speaking about Julian Nagelsmann, Sky Sports Germany are saying Nagelsmann will be free to join Liverpool in the summer as his contract with the German national team only runs until the end of the Euro 2024 campaign, which could be the right time to take over at Liverpool, and he is part of the list of potential suitors, but for me, wouldn't be near the favourites at the top of that list, for my own preference, but can absolutely understand them being in the frame. In regards to your question about do I feel Nagelsmann is more suited to the current crop, I think any manager, in all honesty, that gets the privilege to come in and manage this group of players should count their lucky stars, because they're a great group. And, as I said earlier on, whoever comes in to replace Jurgen isn't walking into a club in turmoil. They're walking into a club that has been fantastically rebuilt by Jurgen, and will walk into a dressing room full of young, energetic, top-class footballers. So, yeah, it's a great job, and I'm sure it'll appeal to many, many people. Box Will, thank you, mate, for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. You're very kind. Right. I want to read you a little excerpt from an article in The Athletic. So this, again, is just a small piece of the article. It said, the leadership, of course, knew that this time would come, i.e. Jurgen Klopp leaving. And although Klopp's contract ran until 2026, there was an understanding that the deal was informally until 2025, with the option of another year. And then they go on to say, with 18 months to go, as with the player's contract, this seems like a sensible time to make a decision. So that line that intrigues me is the deal was informally until 2025 with the option of another year. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm very often wrong. But wasn't the deal announced as 2026? I don't remember any talk of 2025 with a year option. From my recollection of when that new deal was announced, it was announced as 2026 to me. I don't remember there being any talk about a year option. But look, it's kind of irrelevant, really. And there was also another part that said Jurgen Klopp's wife almost talked him out of quitting last year when obviously things weren't going great for us as a club. So yeah, maybe I don't look. I understand it. I do. I totally get that Klopp might be exhausted. 9 years running a club like Liverpool, the way he does it, as he says himself, full of emotion, full of energy. Yeah, I can understand it taking its toll and I'm needing a breather. It still doesn't make the pain any less, though, does it? De Zerbi and Milner as an assistant is good for me. I'd love Jimmy Milner to come back in any role at the club. A coach, an assistant, whatever, yeah. Absolutely. Hello, Craig. Loving the content. Just asking your opinion on how much of a degree the change of manager will impact the players. God, it's a question I don't know the answer to, Luis. In the short term, I think not at all, really. I think they will work their backsides off to make sure that Jurgen's reign ends as positively as possible. The only part that I'm concerned about right now, Lewis, is the 3 contracts that are up for renewal next. The 3 big ones when we talk about Van Dijk, Trent and Mo. I can't lie and say I'm not concerned by at least the Mohamed Salah part of that. I feel Verge being the captain will probably feel settled at the club and loves the club, and I can see a renewal there. Trent, again, maybe I'm arrogant about this, but I would assume the club will move heaven and earth to make sure Trent stays as well. But is this a moment where maybe Mohamed Salah will look and think, well, this might be my moment as well to either go to another club, maybe a little bit in Spain. I don't know. It worries me, though. And as I said earlier on, uncertainty is nerve-wracking. Do you think if Klopp wins the quadruple, he'll change his mind? No, I don't. I wish he would, but no, I don't. As I've tried, look, you know me, I'm not short of opinions. But if ever there was somebody that I have to shut my damn mouth, take them at face value, and show them respect, I'm going to do it for Jurgen. So when Jurgen said he's leaving and why he's leaving, I owe him that trust and belief, because he's given me and you the best years of my life supporting this football club. And I've never, ever, ever for 1 second doubted that he was the right man for the job. Even when we were down last year, never. Always believed. Because he made me and us believe. Because he's a difference maker. And I love the man dearly. Never met him, probably never will. But he's impacted my life in a way that few other football people would have ever done. You know, I loved Rafael Benitez dearly because of his love for the city of Liverpool as well. King Kenny, you know, the man is Liverpool. But Jurgen Klopp is a god to me. You know, I said to you guys many times over the years, I still pinch myself that he's Liverpool manager. There's nobody in the world I'd swap him for. He's it. He's the guy. He's a special man. And yeah, it's I'm going to give him the respect throughout this whole process. I'll talk about other managers because we have to. But when he says why he's leaving, you know, that's the reason he's leaving in my mind. And I'm going to give him the respect he deserves on that. I'm not going to look for ulterior motives or fallouts or bad blood or any of this stuff. Now that Klopp is gone, I would think that shuts down any Mbappe rumours. Unfortunately, cannot see him coming after Klopp's departure. I can't see it either, mate, to be honest with you. I can't. But here's a question that I'd like to ask you guys. So let's say, for instance, Xavi Alonso was offered Liverpool, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid tomorrow. Who do you think he takes as the job? Because I'm probably deluded in this, but What job would you think he takes? What job do you think would mean the most to Xabi Alonso? Because I can't help but feel it's Liverpool. His kids were born here. We were the ones that brought him from Spain to England. He won his first European Cup with us. I don't know. I might be deluded, but I really feel like the connection is there with Alonso and Liverpool. I don't think it will be there with the Madrid fans who will turn on him on a sixpence if they lose 2 games. They will. Bayern fans, I'm sure, will be a lot more respectful of Xabi. I don't even think it's a competition. You know, if the 3 contracts are put on the table in front of him, I would bet my life he signs the Liverpool one. But I think, the best way, Real Madrid, he's Spanish. That doesn't mean anything. I don't think that means anything to him, that he's from Madrid and Spanish. Maybe I'm deluded, absolutely. As I said, I just think he's Liverpool first, above the others. But let's get a poll on it. Let's ask what you guys think. Hang on, let's start a poll. Right, poll's up. So, question is, who does he pick if all 3 offer him a job? Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Also, another thing I think we all need to keep in mind with Real Madrid in particular is they still have the whole Super League thing hanging over them. And Florentino Perez's determination to push that competition through. So, I don't know what way some managers would maybe look at that situation as well, because we don't know how that's going to pan out. There's some more court cases pending over it. Of all the 3 clubs, really feels like the one that would give him the most time would be Liverpool. The one that I think he has the better connection with the fans, I think, is Liverpool. But I don't know that Liverpool are going to offer him the job. We don't know that yet. Alonso has a quote that says, "Liverpool's my second home and I didn't feel like I was home when I was moving back." There you go. Look, I guess if it isn't Xabi Alonso, who are the other realistic options? It's not going to be Gerrard. It's not going to be Linders. De Zerbi will be, I'm sure, considered. It feels like this is going to start a bit of managerial merry-go-round, though. Because you've seen Xavi announce that he's leaving Barcelona at the end of the season last night. Then you've got the Thomas Tuchel stuff already starting to come out about him going bye-bye. And so I wonder, is there going to be a race now, to try and find top managers around Europe? Because it seems like it started a bit of a domino effect. He left us for Madrid. Yeah, but you're not giving any context to that, mate. Like, why did he leave us for Madrid? Well, because Rafael Benitez undermined him by wanting to bring in Xabi Alonso. Because he fell out with Rafael Benitez over the birth of his child and wanting to be present for it. So, that's why he left for Madrid. In my opinion. It's not because he liked Madrid more than us or anything. It's just Rafa Benitez undermined him with the whole Gareth Barry thing, and I don't blame him. What do I think of Mancini? I don't think that Liverpool have any hidden bank accounts to pay him through. That's apparently not our forte, unlike other clubs that he's managed. At least that's what the accusations are, right? De Zerbi gives me Rodgers vibes. No, look, I think De Zerbi is a better coach than Brendan Rodgers. He's only kind of become known to many of us since he's come to the Premier League, but De Zerbi is, he's earned the jobs by just a really good brand of football. I don't know, it just doesn't strike me. For some reason, he just doesn't strike me as a Liverpool manager. I don't know why. John Williams said, I think Alonso's the only one who the fans will be able to stomach, especially if it took some time. And thank you for your super chat, John. Graham Potter would be a ridiculous appointment. There's no way I'd be losing my mind if we was Graham Potter. Ange Postecoglou would be brilliant, but I can't see him walking out on Spurs, and I can't see Daniel Levy giving him an out either, because we know how hard a negotiator Daniel Levy is on anything. So look, Ange Postecoglou I like very much. I like the gravitas, as I keep saying. I like the way he carries himself. I like the fact that he's a self-professed Liverpool fan. I like a lot of Ange Postecoglou, but I don't think he leaves Spurs after such a short time. Would I take him? Yeah, I think I would. I think I think a man motivator is going to be important, and Ange Postecoglou certainly strikes me as that. His brand of football, look, let's be honest, we could all watch that style of play as well. He's a very humble, down-to-earth man. He doesn't take any crap, especially from journalists. Yeah, I could get on board with Ange Postecoglou, but I just don't see it happening. Great stream, thank you, Rahul. Just wanted to say we shouldn't judge Alonso on his first season too much. We may not win anything, don't want Arsenal 2.0. There's definitely a lot of sentimentality, Rahul, involved in the admiration we have for Alonso. And obviously he's done himself no harm with the absolutely incredible start to his campaign with Bayer Leverkusen. Being unbeaten in the Bundesliga, on top of the league, sailing into the knockout stages of the Europa League as group winners, and playing a brand of football that's very easy on the eye. And he has the gravitas and the charisma and the history with Liverpool. But I do again, I'm never going to push back on anybody who was concerned about his expertise or his managerial time, because it is a short sample size for us to look at. How could you not admire what Xabi has achieved? Oh, look, man's been there and won everything as a player. World Cup, Champions Leagues, European Championships, everything. Everything is achieved. The man's a winner. And he's worked under some brilliant coaches, and I'm sure he's taken a little bit from every one of them. So that definitely does, in my mind, certainly partly make up for the lack of experience in managing a club. I don't think he'd walk into Liverpool and be overawed by the occasion, or what I don't want is a yes man for FSG. That's what I don't want to happen. I want somebody who's going, and it's going to be very interesting as well to see if it was Jurgen that was happy with the squad all the time and maybe wasn't pushing extra hard for players, or if it was the owners. Because I think Jurgen has always been very respectful of FSG since he's been here. Sometimes maybe we as fans found that to a fault a little bit, but I guess some answers of questions we don't know now, we may get down the line when we see what type of budgets the next manager will be given. Would I take Pep as in Guardiola? No. I've lost all respect for him. With that whole Man City stance of his, I've no respect. None. Zero. And I love them. I'm a Barcelona fan in regards to Spanish football. And I loved what he did there. But I've really lost a lot of... I mean, maybe people say, hang on, Craig, he's just defending his club. I get it. I don't expect him to come out and say that they did it. Of course I don't. But it's the way that he's dug his heels in that just has lost a bit of the appeal for me. So no, I wouldn't. Also, I find his style of football with Manchester City very robotic, albeit effective. I don't imagine I'd enjoy watching it too much. It's too organised for me, if that makes any sense. Hansi Flick, he's got about as much charisma as a toenail. I find Hansi Flick very, just doesn't do it for me. Zidane, would I take him? No, doesn't speak English. Is very, 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 very different to the style of person that I think would suit the Liverpool job. I've no interest in Zidane coming to Liverpool. None. Would I take Carlo Ancelotti? I would. I can't lie, I would. Same way I would have taken Carlo Ancelotti before Jurgen signed. When I knew it was down to the last two between those two, obviously my preference was for Jurgen Klopp. But yeah, if anybody would turn down the idea of Carlo Ancelotti would, want their head examined, he's the daddy when it comes to European football, in my opinion. So I very much would have Carlo Ancelotti, yes. Alonso's style is similar to Pep. It's not totally similar. It is certainly, like Pep Guardiola, a more possession-based system. But I find with Pep's system, it's too robotic for me. It's too methodical. It's too organised. But fair point, I can understand where you're coming from. He played under Pep Guardiola, and he certainly does have attributes. But then again, a lot of young modern coaches are going to have a similarity to the way Pep Guardiola coaches, because he innovated coaching quite a bit with what he did with Barcelona and what he's doing with 115 Charges FC. So yeah. People are saying Klopp's not going to change his mind, mate. He's not. He said it himself, so it's not even me just saying that. I don't think he will change his mind. No, I don't. Would I take Conte? Absolutely not. No. No way. No. It would be a shit show. It would be... I don't know. I don't like Conte at all. I think he's effective for some clubs who need something at a certain moment or have short-term thinking. But no, God almighty, no, I couldn't, no. What's your percentage of Xabi Alonso coming to Liverpool? It's Xabi, by the way, Ibrahim, not, there's no V, it's B. I don't know. What would be my percentage at a guess? I think he's far more likely than any other manager to be the next Liverpool manager. But I don't know if I would feel confident enough to say it's going to be him, because I have no idea what way FSG are looking at this. I've got no idea if they bring in a sporting director, if the sporting director is going to have a big say over the style of manager that he or she wants to work with. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I guess the picture is going to become clearer over the next couple of weeks. Do you know what I do want, though? I think we need it sorted before March, because we don't need this to be hovering over everyone. The sooner the better we get news of who it's going to be, and the recruitment team can maybe start looking on their side, and the players get an idea. Because if we're going to sit down and negotiate with Trent and Virg and Mo, they're going to want to know the plan. They're going to want to know who the club are looking at. They're going to want to know if they sign on to Liverpool for another 3, 4, 5 years that they're going to like the person they're working with and the direction the club is going in, and that the manager will believe in them in the same way Jurgen has. How about Alonso and Luis Garcia? Why does Luis Garcia's name come into this? Just cause he used to play for Liverpool? Is he even doing badges? I mean, Alonso and Milner, I'd very much like to see. That would be, yeah, I'd get on board with that. And even bring Lucas Leiva back over as well for a little moment in the sun, a little welcome back moment. Would I take Jose Mourinho? No, I wouldn't. Again, it's the style of football for me that would be the biggest factor with Mourinho and Conte. I couldn't watch their brand of football. It would bore me. Rafael Benitez was a tough watch sometimes, particularly in some European away games, you know. It was effective. Rafa got us the results, but it wasn't an easy watch a lot of the time. Hansi Flick doesn't inspire me at all, to be honest with you. He just seems like... He just feels like a boring option. Which is wrong, right? I should be only talking about these things from a point of view of coaching ability, but it's Liverpool manager. I think Liverpool manager has to have something about them. Especially with where we are as a club right now. You know, we're not where we were when Rodgers was here or when Jurgen first came in. Or heaven forbid when Roy Hodgson got the job. You know, we're in a great spot. And it's an unusual circumstance for the way we're getting a new manager. It's not because Jurgen was fired or there was a fallout or the team weren't playing well. It's just the manager made a decision based on, you know, his honest assessment of how he's feeling. And yeah, this is a job people should be dying to get into. Crawl over broken glass to manage Liverpool. Dingo said, De Zerbi for me, he is tactically brilliant. Xabi is doing great, but so was Gerrard 18 months ago. Too inexperienced at this stage, in my opinion. Again, like I promised, Dingo, I'm never going to push back on anybody who has a concern, mate, about the experience of Alonso. It's a fair point, and you're very understandable to have that fear. De Zerbi's a great coach. I agree. And I wouldn't be too disappointed if it was De Zerbi. I'm sure... do you know what I'm interested to figure out? If my opinion changes over the course of the next few weeks. Because right now I'm firmly Xabi Alonso. Alonso or nothing. But I wonder. You know, I wonder will I talk myself in and out of other appointments or other targets. There's a lot to be said about De Zerbi having experience in the Premier League. There's a lot to be said about De Zerbi bringing through young players and giving them belief and confidence. And a lot of that is going to be some of the tools that the next manager is going to have at their disposal. I'd be interested to know about the possible appeal to other players of De Zerbi. Like if you were a player that Liverpool were looking to sign, I can know 100% that the fact that Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool manager would be part of the appeal. I don't know if De Zerbi has a big enough pulling power in that sense in world football, but maybe I'm overthinking that. Do you think we can win the league this season, said Jacob. Weirdly, mate, I think there's more chance of us winning the league now than there was a week ago. Because I think everyone's going to empty the tank at this point. The manager, the players, the emotion inside Anfield is going to be on another level. Just not the belief as such, just the determination now to do it. And the fact that it's Klopp's last year. And the fact that City are looking to do 4 in a row. I'm more confident than I was a week ago. But still still too early to talk about it being getting done or not. A lot of football to be played, especially over the next week. If we end up with 6 points this week, then I might become unbearable. I'm going to start assuming we're winning the league then. But Chelsea and Arsenal away are going to be difficult games, particularly at the Emirates. I can only imagine the scenes if we win the league this season. It just feels like that's the goodbye, isn't it? A league title, a little Europa League win, that'll do rather nicely. So the last games of the season that are on the books would be the FA Cup is technically the very last game of the season. Europa League would be the second last if we got to the final. So yeah, one of those two would be lovely, and then send Jurgen off with a nice little parade. And I can only imagine what the streets of Liverpool would be like for that bus parade with a league title and a proper goodbye. That would be I think I'd genuinely bring Liverpool to a standstill. Like, more so than even 2005. Simeone and Inzaghi, what about this manager, said Ravine. A name that's been mentioned to me as a possible target, or at least somebody to be assessed. Of all the managers plying their trade in Italy, or having done so in recent years, Inzaghi is probably the one that I would feel most confident in. But still doesn't feel right to me. It feels like he's almost too proper and prim, if that makes sense. The interesting one is Amorim, because I don't know enough about him, but a lot of people in the chat have been saying to me that the Sporting fans idolise him for the way he plays and the way he carries himself, but I really don't know enough about him to give a fair opinion. Can you ever envision the day that Klopp comes back for one last dance? I mean, it's football, so you never say never. But no, especially if he goes out and with some trophies this year, because then you're risking tainting what is going to be a beautiful legacy. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants somebody to maybe come back and not be as good as the first time round. And nah, I think when you say goodbye to somebody like Jurgen, you say goodbye. That's my feeling on it anyway. Transfer-wise, what does Alonso's first summer look like, Craig, and your views on Pedro Neto? So transfer-wise, what does it look like? A centre-back? Maybe a forward, depending on what happens with Mo. But that's kind of where I'm at. If I'm Alonso, I'm coming in centre-back's the first thought. Maybe to replace the experience of Thiago in midfield when Thiago's contract is up. Could I see a world where Alonso thinks, let's get Joshua Kimmich in, as his Thiago, let's say? I could see that happening. Does he go back for one of the centre-backs from, like Nkapie from Leverkusen? Don't know. But I don't expect too much business because it's a pretty good squad. We'll need a backup keeper if Kelleher leaves. We'll need a forward if Mo leaves. But other than that, we're going in the right direction, and we did a lot of good business last summer. And on Neto, I like him, but I can't say I'm not concerned about the injuries he's had. And I don't know where he fits in if we bring him. Somebody asked me a really interesting question earlier on, and I answered it honestly. And the question was, if I was the Liverpool manager to come in next, what two players would I sell if I had to sell two? And my answer was Lucho and Costas. And the reason I said Lucho is because I think we could find another player for that position easier, or maybe not even need to bring one in if you went with Darwin on the left or Gakpo and you brought in a different centre forward or another wide player. And I don't want to lose Lucho, but I'm being honest in how I answered it. And Costas, because I don't think he's ever going to succeed Andy Robertson. And if he's not going to succeed him, we need to find somebody that will, because we need to look at that day when that day comes. And I don't think it's going to be Costas, because I don't think he's going to get to the level required. So that was my two answers, but difficult question. Do you think Jurgen will get the German job? Almost certainly, John, yeah. The bookies seem to as well, by the way. The odds on Jurgen, what was it? Connor sent this to me earlier on. 1 second. I'll get you the actual odds now. Hang on. Is that it? No. It's that one. So, Paddy Power's odds are 1 to 9 on for him to take the German job. Meaning you have to bet €9 to win €1. Borussia Dortmund was a longer shot of 15 to 2. Real Madrid 11 to 1. Barcelona 14 to 1. And I often laugh, like people say, oh, Klopp to Real Madrid, definitely going to happen. I don't think it ever happens. I don't think he would manage either Barca or Real Madrid ever. I just don't see them as Jurgen top clubs. If he ever went to Spain, I feel like Atletico Madrid is most likely the club he'd go to. I can see an instant fit with the fans, with the sort of underdog aspect of Atleti, but still good enough and powerful enough financially to do a bit of damage. That would be my guess if he was to go to Spain. Atletico Madrid seems the most Jurgen Klopp type club to me. Certainly not Barcelona or Real Madrid. Do you think Chimicas or Gomez is Robbo's backup now? Oh, Costas, I think. But it's a really good question, actually. You know what? I've never thought of that till this second, till you asked me that. Oh, it's a good show. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out when Robbo next needs a rest. What do you guys think? It's a really good question, actually. I think Gomez has done a better job there than Costas. Although Costas certainly didn't fail filling in for Robertson. I won't say that about him. I think he did well, but I think we've looked more solid defensively with Gomez. Now I'm intrigued. Now I really want to see what does happen when Klopp rotates him next. Luis Enrique, what about him? I don't want anyone that's been near PSG. No, thank you. If you got to PSG, in my eyes, you're tainted goods. So, as a manager especially, no, not for me. What do you think of Nagelsmann? I think he'd do fantastic. He's hard done by at Bayern, just needs a second chance to show everyone what he's worth. I think he'll be in the top 3 candidates for the job. You know, as was pointed out earlier on, it lines up time frame wise because his contract with the German FA is only till the end of the Euros, and then you would almost expect that Jurgen will take that job. Whether German FA put a placeholder in for a few games till enough time has passed for Klopp or whatever, I don't know, but he'll definitely be under consideration. And how would I feel if he got the job? I'd be a little bit nervous. I certainly wouldn't feel it's a stupid appointment. I wouldn't go down as making me angry, but I'd be a little bit concerned about his character. Because he seems to be, I don't know if I've got this wrong, and maybe a bit of a divisive character at times. Certainly a very intense character from what I've read about the way he takes his coaching sessions, and also being concerned about his last couple of job appointments and how they haven't worked out. But Bayern feels like a weird job at the minute as well, because Tuchel's under pressure already there. If you ask me for 3 names now, I think Nagelsmann, De Zerbi and Alonso are probably the 3 frontrunners for the position, based off what we've been reading from the media. Would make sense with Arteta leaving to join Barca. I don't know. I've no idea what's going on there. I've seen, obviously, that Xavi is stepping down from the Barcelona job in June. I've no idea if Arteta is in the frame, is interested, or I haven't got a clue. It's not really our concern as Liverpool fans. Do you think Ten Hag will get fired at Manchester United? Oh, 100%. If he's there to start the next season, I will be absolutely flabbergasted. Because he's shit. Quite simply. And divisive. And can't keep his players in check. Rashford's in nightclubs. Anthony has to miss half the season because of other stuff. His decision of goalkeeper was horrendously bad. He's just... I mean, look, leave him in there as long as possible because he's shit, but no, I don't think he's there next season. I can't see Alonso accepting the Bayern job. Teams in an uncertain place. Many of the players are linked with moves away. That's what I was saying, Harry. Excuse me. It's a very weird job at the minute, the Bayern job, because usually when you look at Bayern, you think continuity, really well run and everybody pulling in the same direction as a club. But it feels like, and I don't know German football well enough to know the ins and outs of this, but from the outside looking in, it feels a bit chaotic at the minute. A lot of talk of players moving on. Already talk of unhappiness around Thomas Tuchel, and I don't know. And also, he's at Leverkusen, so it would be a real FU to those Leverkusen fans if he ran and went straight to manage Bayern Munich from there. I think that would anger a lot of people. My friends, just a couple of quick things. Do please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Drop a like on the video. There's 313 likes. There's 1,500 people in the chat, so surely we can get that up to at least 500. Clips channel, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Anfield Agenda Clips, loads of stuff coming up on there. And of course, get yourself to Boston if you're in that neck of the woods. We'd love to see you. Anfield Agenda, March 22nd at the House of Blues Foundation Room, right across from Fenway Park. We'd love to see you there. Tickets are on sale on Ticketmaster. And if you're in that neck of the woods, please do pop along. Craig, are we a bigger club than Bayern overall? I think we're probably on a par. I would say yes, but I'm a Liverpool fan. They are a very, very well-established, well-thought-of, successful brand as well as a club. So I would say yes, but I'm a Liverpool fan. I think it's very close, though. When we get the new coach, I want him to do his own thing and not be forced to have the same playing style as Klopp, and we need to give him time, said Frankie. I agree. Absolutely. There's going to be a settling in period, and we don't know how quickly we'll settle. I love the content, my friend. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Charles. Shut up, we're way bigger. Go fuck yourself. Don't ever talk to me like that, you absolute fucking clown. Go watch another channel. Have I disrespected you, dickhead? Who the fuck do you think you are, Simon? Said you need to learn some goddamn respect, mate. Have I talked to you like that? Asshole. What will happen if FSG don't back the new manager? Oh God, I don't know. I don't know. That's jumping way too far ahead there. Let's find out who that new manager is first and foremost. We don't want to do what United did and go through 3 managers in 5 years. 100%. That's a very fair comment. And to be fair to Liverpool, the way we are as a club, we've never really been one for turning over managers a lot. So that's why I understand the club saying they're going to take their time, put in a sporting director and try and make sure it's the right appointment. And because it's so big. Like, it's bigger than any transfer we've made in recent history. It's a big decision. It's a tough one to get right. And I don't know if there's going to be a surprise or two along the way. I'm not sure, but it feels so unusual as well, doesn't it? We haven't had to talk about a manager or a change of manager for 9 years. because we've all, from moment one that Jurgen's come into the club, we've all been like, well, he's the guy. I love this brand of football, love the personality, love the emotion, love the way the players respond, and straight away we've seen improvements. Craig, you really make me laugh when I'm going through a tough time. Sorry to hear that, my man. I look with that comment with the dude earlier on. It's just like, don't tell me to shut up. If you disagree with what I'm saying, fair enough. Say, Craig, I disagree with you. Here's why. I tell me to shut up is not going to end well for that person in the chat, because I treat people with respect until they don't respect me or other people, and then at which case, off they pop. Do you think the Liverpool dressing room would be happy with Alonso at the helm? Yes. Yeah. I think there are some managers that... Look, I think Alonso, De Zerbi, Nagelsmann would be the three for me at the minute. But they're not going to be Jurgen Klopp, right? So, what do you guys think happens with Salah now? Because that's my biggest priority of where we're at. I feel comfortable that Trent will sign a new deal. Because Virg is captain, I also feel comfortable he'll sign a new deal. I really don't know what to expect from Mo. And I don't know. Look, if you are looking for conspiracy theories... No, actually, I'm not going down that road, because I promised I'm not going to undermine Jurgen in any way. But yeah, I'm worried about the Salah situation. Do you think Salah will leave now? Me, yes, I do. I do. If I had 50 quid, and this is the thing I always say, if I have 50 quid for Salah leave, Salah stay, I think Salah leaves. Because I think this has given him an easier pathway to talk about the change of an era, and maybe wanting one more move in Europe at a top level before, he heads off to Saudi or MLS or wherever he wants to finish his career. Gomez is basically our John O'Shea. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a stint as DM in an injury crisis at TY or TY. He can do it all, right? He's certainly a jack of all trades and does it very well. He's got the Jimmy Milner problem of where's his nail down position though, but that's okay because he's going to get games and he's going to help out the squad, and he's a thorough professional. So, and he signed a new deal. So yeah, we would have been lost this season without Joe Gomez. I'm going to end the poll on where does Xabi pick if all three offer him a job. 77% of you guys think he picks Liverpool over Bayern Munich and Real Madrid if all three offered him a job. Salah for Frimpong if we get Xabi. I'd rather Wirtz, to be honest with you. He's a Joe of all trades. That's much better, Cabbage Turnips. Yes, I don't know why that didn't jump into my head, my man. But you're right, much better. He's a Joe of all trades. Spot on. I honestly can't get over Klopp leave and it really hurts, said Jake. You're not on your own, my man. It is so... Still sad. I still haven't got past sad yet. That's where I'm at. Sad. Sad, but also grateful. Definitely. Even seeing him today. Do you know what got me today, actually? Of all the moments that happened today, it's seeing Jurgen Klopp after McConnell's assist and the beaming pride and surprised happiness on his face. That, it to me, is just one of the reasons of the many I love Jurgen Klopp. That stood out to me today, and it just hit me right in the feels, definitely. Because that's a proud moment, like a proud parent seeing their child cycle a bike for the first time, or, your son or daughter out playing the first football game, scoring the first goal. It felt like a proud father type moment for Jurgen there to see McConnell do that. What time is the Chiefs and Ravens? It started an hour ago, mate. It was an 8 o'clock start for the Chiefs Ravens, and then 49ers game is against Detroit is 11:30, I think, our time. Sam Allardyce. Stop, would you? No more stupid talk about Sam Allardyce, please, and thank you. Wirtz is not a winger. Do you want to buy him, Craig? I didn't say he was or wasn't. I just think he's a very good player. And it can play anywhere across the front line or behind the front line. But like Michael Elise is somebody I'd love. So seeing him say that link to United freaked me a little bit. Because I wouldn't mind Elise at Liverpool. I like him as a player. And I'm a real sucker for fast wingers. Like I'm a pacey winger who's young and fearless is just a joy to see playing football. Cantor said, I don't think Salah leaves now, just a feeling. Who do you think Xabi would bring from Leverkusen to Liverpool? Actually, honestly, mate, who was that, Moji? I don't feel like he'd take anybody out of respect. Similarly, I know Klopp had a far bigger connection with Dortmund because he was there longer, but I don't know if he would go back unless it was a player that maybe Leverkusen had not earmarked for sale, but believed was going to be sold next summer. If I picked one, Hincapié, perhaps, because that's a position we need. What about Ivan Toney for Salah? I don't think Liverpool will pay what Brentford will ask, and I don't think there's value in what Brentford will ask for Ivan Toney. I don't doubt Ivan Toney's ability as a football player, but I do doubt the value in the fee for Ivan Toney. So that's why I'd say no. We should have got, if we wanted Ivan Toney, we should have got him earlier. Because he's a Liverpool fan. I remember Darren McAnthony telling me when he was at Peterborough that Liverpool should sign him. And I just feel like as he's gone to Brentford, come back now from his ban, I think other clubs' needs are greater and other clubs will be willing to pay what we wouldn't. Does this mean a chance of getting Mbappe are gone? I would say yes. Yeah, I'm certainly not thinking about Mbappe anymore at this moment in time. But then again, it's been hard to think about anything else since Jurgen made his announcement, hasn't it? Top 3 Liverpool managers of all time. Look, that depends on your era, doesn't it? You know, Paisley for the trophies, but Shankly for bringing the club back up and bringing the people and the fans together, and then Jurgen for redoing it now again. Jurgen for breaking that 30-year wait for a league title. I mean, it depends on your era, I guess. I feel like everything must be in place already. No one interviews seems stressed. They all have smiles on their faces. I don't know. Certainly by the news coming public that Jurgen is leaving, it definitely makes it a lot easier for FSG to operate in approaching agents or trying to find out information about potential targets. It feels like the vibe was the Klopp wanted to tell the players and other people close to him before it leaked out. And the whole video being filmed the day before Friday at Kirby just felt like not rushed to me, but not as managed as other situations. I feel like there was maybe, I don't know if somebody had wind of the story or something, but certainly felt like Liverpool wanted to get out in front of it. What type of statue do you think would be good? I don't know about statues, man. I think a stand would be great. You know, rename the main stand, the Jurgen Klopp stand. I don't think you fuck around with the cop, to be fair. Scallywag said, Xavi is nailed on to Liverpool in my opinion. I think so as well, mate. I do think so. Right, my friends, I'm going to say goodnight. and go watch this Chiefs Ravens game. I just wanted to come back on and have another chat with you all and see how we're all feeling after what's been a pretty crazy few days, right? We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another live show. And thank you to everyone that came in tonight. I appreciate your time. I hope you all have a lovely evening. And thank you for your support of the channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. But most importantly, be safe, be well. Lots of love to you and your families. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Much love.